First, I want to open this discussion by asking each one of you specifically, what does MLK Junior Day represent to each one of you? I know for me personally, it represents the perseverance of someone who has fought for equality by using his words, his peace, his faith. And as a young kid growing up, I was fortunate to have parents who taught me those same values. And they referred me to always remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as a representation for all of those things. As I Have a Dream is one of his most memorable speeches. I think that same speech reminds us that we not only have the power to dream, but to turn dreams into reality through our actions. I'll start with you, Jay Hay. What does MLK Junior Day mean to you?
Um, to me, I feel like it kind of sets a tone every year. Just as a reminder that we've done a lot of things to get to this point as African Americans, as a culture in general, as human beings, but we still got a ways to go. And just in 2020, seeing that a lot of examples of Malcolm X or Fred Hampton, they're made examples of how not to push forward for equality, right? But then they say, okay, well, here's MLK. And they say, this is how you should do it. This is sort of a poster child. Well, I think we all got to continue to keep in mind that, he was assassinated too, right? So I just think it's big that we stay unified and continue to use examples like MLK and continue to use it as setting a standard to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I love that idea of staying unified. I think that that's really strong. Tommy, I'll ask you the same thing. What does MLK Junior Day mean to you?
Oh, I would have to say equality and perseverance. Growing up, you mentioned, your family taught you this about the day. My family, I was actually in the Las Vegas MLK parade every year as a kid down in downtown Las Vegas. So the day MLK Day to me is like a bigger holiday than most holidays. Just from going out, dressing up as a kid and celebrating the day.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that obviously this day signifies a lot. Cameron, what does this day signify to you when you think about Martin Luther King Jr.?
Yeah, I think those guys, said it so beautifully, honestly. For me, Martin Luther King, definitely equality, love really sticks out for me. He really spoke, a lot on love, will conquer hate. And just like Jay Hay said, a lot of unfortunate things went on this past year that we got to see uncut live. And you saw, some peaceful protests. You saw people come out and show love. You saw a group of guys in baseball who felt like they have been somewhat silenced, try to come together and use their voices peacefully and spread love. And, I think that embodied what he did, what his mission was, to try to get that equality. So today is an incredibly, not today, but, Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is an incredibly important day, I think, for our country to continue to remember to spread love and peace. He had a quote that said, I think we're better off being neighbors now, living as neighbors than dying as fools. And I think that is an incredible quote. And I think it just embodies what we all all are trying to continue to do, in his name.
Yeah, I think you mentioned like a word that really means a lot and a word that we really need right now, and that's love. I feel like if we're able to change our perspective on a lot of things and look at one another through a lens of love rather than hate or oppression, I think that solves a lot of the issues that we have going on today. Lewis, for you, what does MLK Junior Day signify for you?
What those guys said, man. Obviously, growing up, my mother instilled in me that you need to treat everybody that you want to be, how you want to be treated. And I think MLK represented that, full force. You know, I said it to kids that I talk to. I just want to say thank you, you know, to MLK first and foremost, for everything that he stood for, everything that he sacrificed. Obviously, he made the ultimate sacrifice, and I'm guessing he knew, you know, what it meant and what he was getting himself into by being a leader and being an activist and being, you know, the leading voice of the civil rights movement. You know, he knew the risk. He knew, you know, what could happen to him, what could happen to his family, and you know, for that, you know, I just want to say thank you to him and his family for making that sacrifice and put me in the position I'm in now, and all of us being able to do this and live out our dreams. And you know, again, just spreading love, just spreading peace. Like Cam said, all the peaceful protests out there. You know, that's something he would have been proud of. Probably not proud of why we're doing it still, but just the peaceful protests out there, just representing each other as one, as one country, as one people. You know, not being separated by the color of our skin, but you know, the content of our character. You know, he said it best. But again, you know, I can't stress it enough. I just want to say thank you to him. People like him, people like Jackie Robinson, like we said. People that just represented everything that I want to embody and everything I want to represent in my life, and eventually one day to my kids. My kids will know who Martin Luther King is, Martin Luther King Jr. is. And you know, I just want to say thank you to him and his family for everything that they did and everything that they sacrificed.
Yeah, I think sacrifice is a huge component of what we all go through, right? Obviously, he had it at another stage, at another level, but it reminds us that we all will go through struggles, we'll all go through sacrifices, and being players in this game, we automatically make sacrifices every day with family, with friends. It could be mentors. There's so many sacrifices that we make, and just to have the opportunity to play the game we love is really huge. And when I talk about the love of the game, it would be impossible for me to dive into baseball and Black America without asking you guys where the love of the game came from. For me, my love of the game first came from seeing my San Diego Padres. I grew up in San Diego. They took on the Yankees in the '98 World Series, and I was disappointed because they got swept, but it was for the first time I was watching on TV at the age of 11, I want to say it was, like grown men crying after they won the World Series. And for me, it was looking at the Yankees in the pinstripes and saying, man, this is a sport that makes grown men cry when they win. Like, I want to be a part of that. Like, how does that ultimate feeling really feel inside winning a World Series and just having opportunity to do that? So I want to ask you guys, Tommy, I'll start with you. Where did your love of the game first come from?
You know, I truly think it was the marketing back when I was a kid, because I played football, I played basketball, along with baseball. But if you look at in the '90s, you know, if you look at baseball, you saw Griffey, Jeter, you know, Bo. You saw a lot of Black Americans getting marketed in baseball. And when you looked at other sports, you know, you saw Jordan, of course, in basketball, and that was really it. Then in football, there was really no one. But baseball, you saw a ton of Black Americans getting marketed. So it was relatable. It was the cool thing, you know, because Griffey has some of the coolest commercials. You know, Jeter, along with, you know, Bo. Dion even had a football and a baseball commercial. Mm-hmm. Baseball was marketed different back in the day. It was appealing to me as a kid. You know, I love the camaraderie with my baseball teammates as a kid, but you know, when you look at how baseball was marketed back then to how it's marketed now, there was a big difference.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and it just reminds me of those days when it looked so cool to see someone that kind of looked like me on the screen. Correct. You know, and seeing that. So I think that's a great point. Jay, what about you? How and when did you first grasp your love for the game?
First, you know, I was born in '89, born in Ridgewood, New Jersey. My parents got married in New York. And so a few years before I was born in 1986, the New York Mets won the World Series. They had Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry. You talk about two household names at the time, two African-American ball players. And Pop saw them and he was like, look, I want my son to have a chance to be a part of that. Team sport, but also to be able to shine and help his team win as an individual. I want to say when I was 9 years old, I had the chance the first time to travel outside of Georgia where I grew up and see another team beside the Atlanta Braves play. And like T. Pham was saying, the first game I saw outside of Georgia was Seattle Mariners versus Texas Rangers. And this is the Seattle Mariners when they still had Jay Buhner, Edgar Martinez, Alex Rodriguez at third base, Ken Griffey Jr. center field. Randy Johnson started the game on the mound. And bro, I'm telling you, this game was 13 innings. The whole time I'm locked in, watching the game. A-Rod had 2 homers. Griffey played center field. He wore 24. And I actually picked 24 when I was 7 years old. And at the time, had no idea who the best 24 was or any of that. I was just like, all right, I'm going to pick 24. I like that number. That sounds nice. But seeing Griffey in that game in the 13th inning, top of the 13th, hit a bases loaded, clearing triple to give his team the lead. But to end the game, he robbed a home run at center field. And I was like, look, I want to hit. I can hit lefty, go play outfield lefty. But just watching him have fun, watch him have that swag, A-Rod do his thing. Also like Tommy said, man, I feel like the game was definitely marketed a little bit different then. It was just easy to feel close and feel like you could feel the swag and feel like they wanted to pass that on to the younger generation.
Yeah, that swag, boy, that swag was a big part of it. I feel that. Cam, what you got for me? When did that love first hit you for the game of baseball?
Man, first off, I appreciate Tommy Pham really making me aware because he was absolutely right. But besides my dad introducing the game to me at 3, I was playing Little League at 3 years old and, watching the Braves and the Cubs, Derek Lee, watching, Mike Cameron was my favorite player growing up, Griffey, I wore 42 because of the history, growing up as like a, 10, 11, 12, 13 travel ball player, I wore 42 because my dad was always big on the history of the game, Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson and Bob Gibson and all, the old Negro League players. So I always wore 42 anyway. But like Tommy Pham, back when I was, in the 90s, you turned the TV on and it were Ryan Gant, what I mean?
Jordan.
Brian Jordan, Reggie Sanders just swollen his uniform. And I'm like, Mike Cameron was literally, like I said, one of my favorite outfielders, watching him run balls down and just, it was so effortless. Derek Lee, I thought he was just the best first baseman. Fred McGriff. It was
Ricky
like you said, so many. Ricky Henderson, there was so many, man.
Right.
So like, he really brought it back. That was it. That's why I literally was like, that was cool. It wasn't, Deion played football, but it was like, he played baseball too. So let's just do the baseball thing,
Right.
I come from a family of hoopers, NBA and college, stars, but it was like, nah, I want to do what these cats are doing because they made it look super fun. So T. Pham is absolutely right. The 90s really made me fall in love with the game of baseball. It was cool seeing all of these brothers out here, bat flipping, pimping stuff before they was even having a discussion about, pimping stuff. You know what I mean? So it was dope. It was dope. It was fun to watch. So you didn't lie. T. Pham was right, man. That literally, sparked my love for the game. I wanted to be like those guys. It resonated to me.
That's huge. That's huge. I think for us to have an opportunity to look up to somebody and say, man, I want to do it like that dude, man, he's a bad boy. Like those are the things I remember seeing those guys and saying it, like, if I could do it like him. Lewis, man, what originally said, hey, this game is for me?
Originally, my dad played basketball in high school and in college up in Maryland. Obviously, I was born and raised down here. He wanted me to play basketball. Every time I would go to my grandparents' house, they had a basketball goal because that's where he played basketball. And he would always have me shoot around. But, I've always from when I was a toddler, like in my high chair, anytime my mom would turn on the game of baseball, I just would go crazy. I'd be focused. And when she turned it off, I would start crying and, bothering her and stuff. And so it was kind of love at first sight as a child. But growing up, obviously I played it. It was fun. But my first Marlins game, I'm a little younger than y'all. So back in 2003, when I went to my first Marlins game, JP, and I don't want to make Cam feel old, but
that's my guy.
he was a little.
I was his bat boy. My bad. Damn.
I was
his bat boy.
Cam was a little bit after JP, but JP, when I saw Juan Pierre, man, running balls down in center field back in Pro Player Stadium, man, that was it for me. I saw him stealing bases. I think he stole like 6-7 bases that game, something crazy. And then robbing home runs. Obviously, he's a leadoff guy, and smaller guy, kind of scrappy. But I just fell in love with the game, man. He was my idol growing up. And that, again, Tommy is absolutely right. Going back to his point, back in the day, in the 90s, the best player in the game was black, Ken Griffey Jr., in my opinion. So, obviously they marketed him, and there were so many, black players that were great at what they did. And like I said, it was just marketed way different back then. And, but for me, like I said, man, and then, when Cam came on over, seeing somebody that looked like me, it really, really made me want to, play and do well and just, tall, lanky kid. I was always the only black kid on my team growing up, probably for a lot of you guys. Always the only black kid growing up. I think I had one other black kid growing up. He played with me through pony ball, through high school. But like I said, we're usually the only black kids on our team. Usually the fastest, usually can jump high, usually can hit the ball far. But my first love, man, was going to that first Marlins game and watching Juan Pierre roam the outfield. And I wanted to, be a professional just like him from that day forward. So.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All the names you guys brought up, man, it just brings back those memories. For me specifically, it was Tony Gwynn. Just watching him in San Diego and always hearing about, for me, it kind of signified the work that I needed to do. You always heard about how this dude took millions of swings off the tee and just perfected every swing that he took. And all he did was hit line drive. So it was like, for me, I was like, man, I want to be like him, but I see the work that goes behind it. I hear about the work that goes behind it. So I know at a young age, this takes work. And I think that's important to remember, especially the young players listening, the young kids, like it's going to take work. When I think about the words baseball and Black America, I think about some of the names you guys talked about of the past time, the names like Jackie Robinson, Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, and the sacrifices they endured to keep progressing the game of baseball for African Americans and minorities. Some of these same initiatives are at the forefront of the Players Alliance today. And as the Players Alliance has a vision of being deeply invested in serving the Black community, creating mission-aligned programs that bring serious maximum impact and potential for a unified voice in our communities. Lewis, I'll start with you. What are some of the positive steps you've been happy to see the Players Alliance take as we talk about baseball in our young Black communities?
Man, I want to say thank you to Cam. I want to say thank you to Curtis and CC and D Gordon for even starting this, man. This is a milestone in my eyes to have this and to have so many Black players be a part of it, and so many other players too. We express that you don't have to be Black to be in the Player Alliance. As we saw in the pull up all around the country, white players, Spanish players are pulling up to these events. And it's just great to see something like this for us when there's so little of us in the big leagues right now. For them to start this, and as soon as Cam called me, man, I was on board, 100%. It just represents something great, man, something greater than the game of baseball, and to hopefully bring some light into our community, Black community. Giving them bats, giving them gloves, giving them food, water, like did at the pull-up, and just encouraging them that playing baseball is cool. I look like you. A lot of kids in that neighborhood, I know with the stories that we just said, man, we look up to players that look like us. So hopefully, down the road, those interactions with us can maybe spark a little interest in playing a game of baseball in their future. So again, man, I just want to say thank you to the OGs, man, for starting this, man. This is, I'm very, very honored. I want you to know, Cam and all the guys, man, I'm very, very honored to be a part of this and to make a difference for sure.
Yeah, I think, you know, we all have a responsibility. We should all be honored to be a part of something like this. Cam obviously is one of the guys that got it going along with multiple other guys. What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far with the Players Alliance and the initiatives behind it and kind of those steps moving forward?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. When it all first started, I was just trying to make a video. I literally just felt like, you know, NFL's made a video when George Floyd, you know, was murdered. NBA made a video. NHL was putting. I feel like everybody was making a statement at the time, and I just felt like, man, like, you know, by the grace of God, I got my 10th full year in the league the year before, so I kind of was just like sitting there in my feelings with my 13-year-old son, watching this, you know, live and uncut, and I was like, yo, we got to do something. Like, so I just called D, like, yo, what's the chances of us getting 20 dudes? You, Jay Hay, T Pham, Lewis, some of the young guys, TA, Mookie, let's just get a few. And then it turned into, you know, EJ calling, you know, making some phone calls. And here we got 117, 150 active players, including nine Blacks. So it's huge. This is only 6 months in. You know, guys stepped up, donated their salary for the pull-up neighbor tour. You know, that was funded by the players, you know, standing up for what they believe in, you know, in baseball, which has never happened, you know, being able to use our voices and not be afraid of the backlash, you know, the repercussion of it. You know, I'll say Bruce Maxwell was one of the first guys to do it, and he felt the repercussion. So I felt like it was our duty to stand up, you know, and come together and try to use this platform, you know, and not be afraid to use our voices. So, you know, what we've accomplished right now is amazing. What we continue to strive towards accomplishing is going to be amazing. You know, I'm gonna say this: next month is going to be an incredible month for baseball. That's all I can really say. We got some amazing things in store, you know, for Black History Month. So, you know, I'll let Jay Hay and T Pham speak on it. But without guys like this, without guys being like, yeah, we are going to do something. We are going to be the reason, you know, why change happens. You know, there's always a fund allocated to the Black community, but it's like, we don't know what happens to it. We don't know where that money actually goes. So we decided to go, you know what? We're going to be the foot soldiers. We're going to get out in the communities. It's snowing in Dallas and dudes are out there giving out equipment, you know, and it just makes you realize if we want to introduce the game of baseball to people, we got to worry about community first, actually. You know, that's what I'm saying. We got to really assert ourselves back in the community before we even talk about, you know, getting kids involved in baseball. Like Lewis said, to let people know, hey, you know, it's guys that look like you, it's guys that think like you. And, you know, we want to see not only on the field, but in the front offices as well. You know, we try to make this way bigger than just the field. So, you know, I ain't going to talk too much on it, but, you know, that's what we're doing right now, only 6-7 months in, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's only really the beginning of some real opportunity. And I just want to touch on, you mentioned the pull-up event. For me, participating in the Players Alliance pull-up neighbor event in Tampa was amazing. The pull-up was an opportunity for the Players Alliance to go into the grassroots of multiple cities across the U.S. and allow people to pull up for equipment, COVID resources, food for people in need during this unprecedented time. And for me, it was an eye-opening experience. And I realized it's not just about us individually diving into the community, but teaching the younger players and teaching whoever we can how to do the same and pass it down. It needs to be, for me, it needs to be more than action, but a whole mentality. And I appreciate you mentioning all those initiatives, Cam, and kind of where it originally started from. Tommy, I know you participated in the pull-up event in Las Vegas. What did you take away most from that pull-up in Las Vegas?
It's always good to get back to your community, but you know, just putting smiles on people's faces, man, bringing happiness to people. That's the number one thing, man. You're seeing people right now going through hard, unprecedented times, and just to be able to give them food, COVID resources, or their son or daughter, a baseball bat for little league or travel ball, because as we know, man, these baseball expenses are starting to get up there, and to be able to give them that bat that they need right now when money is tough, or that glove, or some balls that they need to play catch or practice BP with, all that is, man, it's life changing. I'm it's one of my proudest moments. I mentioned it. Being able to do something like this, man, is truly amazing.
Yes.
And I'm big as far as being active in your community. When I played in St. Louis, I started getting active in 18 by inviting inner city kids once a month to the games, where I meet them during batting practice. I provide them a meal during the game, transportation to and from the stadium. And I've been lucky, to play for some teams that have actually gone half in on me with that initiative. In Tampa, St. Louis, that's something I truly encourage players to do. Get active with your community to promote the game to the inner city, so that we could get more Black kids in this game, because we all know there's no secret, the numbers dwindling year to year.
Yeah, I think you touch on a different market. You touch on people that maybe have not had the opportunity to see some of the positive that comes with being an African-American baseball player. You talk about bringing kids to the stadium and getting to see you in the cage and do those things. Like, that's amazing. I can only think of me having that opportunity as a young kid. That's going to change my whole perspective of the game. Jay, what has the Players Alliance meant for you, and just the opportunity that you see moving forward?
And I just want to say first, I'm just humbled that this timing fell on when I was in the league, right? I know a lot of guys we've had, former players, yourself, guys that came, well before us, Torrey Hunters, Gary Sheffields, and so on. They're like, look, man, it's about damn time that this happened, and then we got a group together. But I think, along with all the special things that these guys have said before me, I think it showed that, we can be responsible, right? That we can come together, we can bring awareness to something and speak on it, but then also take funds that we donated from our own salaries. We can also, come together with MLB, with front offices, with, other staff and whatnot, and say, look, we want to take these funds and, do a tour, go out here in communities and be with people and be with them in a tough time, and just kind of give them an introduction to, this is a baseball player. These are baseball players. Yes, this is a majority Black cause, but they're doing this for equality. Throughout the tour, I'm sure you guys saw a lot of police officers out there that were helping with, keeping us safe and just kind of helping facilitate and moving us around. And I know that's a touchy subject right now. So I feel like, just really proud to be with a group of men, group of Black men, going through these tough times, navigating our way through, and just kind of bringing, the tough situations to a little bit of an ease, and just kicking it off that way. Because like you guys have said, man, this is early on, and I'm just looking forward to whatever's next with the Players Alliance. And just, again, much love to everybody from doing it, whatever walk of life they're in right now.
Yeah, Jay, I think you mentioned a great point. It's just like bringing light to a lot of different situations that are going on right now. When you talk about the police having the opportunity to help out and to pull up, and just the opportunities that we have in our communities, and Tommy talking about putting the smiles on the kids' faces, we have an opportunity to be a light to a lot of people with our platforms. Me and Cam were talking a little bit before this, is like, we have a platform, and a lot of times I feel like we want to use it, but maybe we don't know the right direction to go. And I feel like the Players Alliance is another avenue to help that direction and help us to get back and dive into the communities and also pass it along. Lewis, I want to know from your perspective, how important is it, because you touched on this, how important is it for non-Black people to participate in these opportunities in diving in the community and being a part of the Players Alliance? And multiple different initiatives. How important is that for them to participate in this change? Because I think that's a big part of it when we talk about everybody being on the same page.
I think it's very important. I think it's extremely important. And I definitely expressed that to my teammates, to everybody, that, you know, you don't have to be Black to be a part of the player alliance. Any donation, anything that you guys want to put out, any ideas, I'll relay it to Cam, white, Black, Asian, it don't matter. Like, any ideas, anything you guys want to give back, anything you want to donate, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, the color of your skin. That's the main thing that we're trying to preach, is equality. You know, you don't just have to be Black to be a part of this and be a part of the pull-up and be a part of future events that we have. And I think it's very important, you know, that everybody in the league, you know, gets behind us, so we can, you know, get on top of this and really, really make a difference. And on my team, you know, we had some people that were kind of iffy about it, jumping on the fence, I'm not gonna lie. But we had a lot of guys that were very, very gracious and very like, man, how can I help? You know, can I text Curtis? Can I text Cam? If I have any ideas, if I have anything I want to donate, clothes, shoes, food, water, anything, like, you know, can I do this? I'm like, absolutely. Anything you guys, you know, have any questions that you have and I don't have the answer to, obviously it's a phone call away, it's a text message away. So I think it's extremely important to let everybody know, you know, that we need everybody to get behind us to really make a difference. And I think it shows definitely with the pull-up. We saw, you know, all different types of people out there helping us out. It wasn't just Black guys. It wasn't just Black players. So like I said, man, it's extremely important. Very, very important.
Cam, I want to ask you, what is the main message that maybe the Players Alliance would like to get across to non-Black athletes, people in the community, anybody? What is the message when we talk about trying to get everybody on the same page? I know multiple guys have mentioned equality. Obviously, that's important. Is there something else that we really want to get across when we're talking about the Players Alliance?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great question, X, because the big picture is, you know, we are all older. We all starting to, you know, have families if you don't already have families, you know, but the most important thing is our youth, right? I mean, let's be honest. I feel like these times will only change if we start to teach our youth how to treat each other, how to not judge each other by the color of each other's skin, but by, you know, what's in your chest, you know, about how your heart beats, about how you treat people. So I think the biggest thing for us is you know, Jay Bruce, I give you a great example. Jay Bruce called me and was like, Cam, what you guys are doing is amazing. Not only do I want to be a part of it, you know, I want to get my little league back up and running. You know, it was an area that was predominantly urban, but it's about the league for me. It's about the kids for me. And he literally says, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, most of our best athletes are Black athletes. I mean, you know, not to say that, you know, some amazing white athletes, but some of the most exciting athletes are of color, you know, are Black. So it's imperative that we have everybody come on board, everybody be a part of this. So we get our kids back involved. We get our kids together, our kids knowing that we're all equal and the same.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. For me, I know I'm thankful that I had parents that could help me pursue the game that I loved at a younger age. Tommy, how do we keep moving in the positive direction that we're going when we're talking about growing the game for young African-American players, young African-American athletes? You mentioned this earlier, how the game is getting expensive. The resources are not easy to come across, travel ball costs, equipment, all those things that are needed. What are some of the things that maybe we can tell kids, parents, mentors as encouragement to get over these hurdles?
Ooh, that's a tough one, man. Baseball it's in a tough situation right now. You know, when you're competing with the NBA and NFL, and you know, we're just, to be quite honest, we're behind. You know, we need to step it up here at the big league level to grow the game, to make it more appeasing to, you know, the younger generation. That's the number one thing. Then two, you know, with the Players Alliance, you know, things that we've been able to do, give out, you know, baseball equipment, you know, that's a first step. And, you know, I salute Major League Baseball too. You know, they put in money to, you know, to help us. But I truly believe it starts at the MLB level, you know, from top down. You know, we got to grow the game and make it fun to the youth, you know, because as we all stated before, you know, our love of the game started from, you know, the generation before us. They made it cool. They made it cool, and the way it was marketed was different.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think we can't rely on everybody else, I guess, with MLB, our teams, whatever it may be, to help best market the game. I think that's where you guys do a great job individually, and passing that on to a lot of players is like, you have to brand yourself with your platform as well. I think that's when we're talking about social media and guys scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, you guys all do a great job of branding and marketing yourselves. And I feel like that's another component of the game being attractive to young Black players. Is I see, you know, everybody's on the phone now. If I see what Tommy Pham is doing in the cage, man, that's he's hitting on the field, he's putting it on Instagram, like that's dope. I want to be a part of that. So I commend you guys for showing on your social pages, you know, that aspect of things, because I think that's important when you talk about marketing and branding, because we can't expect for somebody else to always do it for us. Jay, you're somebody from a very young age who's had a lot of expectations on you, even before you were drafted. When we talk about kind of branding and marketing the game for the youth and some of those hurdles that they go through when it comes to resources, what are some of the things that you think that we can pass along?
I mean, like Tommy said, it's, you know, these are tough questions. You know, I feel like there are a lot of different answers, a lot of different ways that we can go about bridging the gap between us, the major league level, and the youth. I think one way we can go about it is continue to have these conversations, getting MLB involved, because, you know, them donating and matching our donations with baseball equipment during the Pull Up Neighbor Tour, that's huge, right? I think trying to figure out a way to, you know, do something different at the NCAA level. You know, 11.5 scholarships is not a lot by any means. You know, so when you talk about trying to fill a baseball roster, MLB, we got 26 guys, you got a 40-man roster. You talk about trying to fill a team and get kids to pay to go to college, get kids to pay to play a sport. You know, like we're all saying, like when you go to travel ball, it gets super expensive. But then you try to go take the next step and say, I want to pursue a career. If you go to college, then you're going to be coming out with more loans and more debt. So if we can try and help bridge that gap some way, somehow, I think that would help a lot of people. You know, just as far as putting more baseball fields and facilities, places in the inner city where kids can go to be a part of baseball, other sports as well, of course, but just giving them somewhere they can go play catch, somewhere they can go join a league. You know, I know RBI, MLB does that, and, you know, they have to go play on fields and they have to find fields to do that. But there's a lot of kids missing out on opportunities. So even when they see us doing these, you know, things on social media, they're like, okay, well, what else can I do to get there, and what else can I sacrifice? So I just think showing them, for one, again, like what this sacrifice is worth, right? What's it, you know, what am I doing? What am I working towards when I get to this big league level? But also, you know, where do I go? You know, who do I talk to? And I think the Players Alliance website is going to be a huge, huge avenue for people to say, where can I get connected here around the game of baseball?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing point. Where do I go? Who can I talk to? Lewis, Cam, let me ask you, Lewis, first. Mentors in the game, like how important is that for you, or even for those young players coming up? Because I know for me, it was always important to be able to ask questions with somebody, even if it wasn't somebody that looked like me, but I always needed to ask questions. What is the importance when we talk about mentors in this game and finding someone to lean on like that?
mentor on this call right now, Cam. So, you know, when my first year in the big leagues, full year in the big leagues, obviously Cam was with us. And he was just somebody I can lean on, man. Obviously, I had a lot of pressure coming in, big trade, hometown kid, you know, top prospect, you know, all the hoopla that we all had coming up. And I really, honestly, I didn't know how to deal with it. I thought I did, but I didn't really know how to deal with it. And Cam just taught me how to, you know, people like him taught me how to just kind of play the game within the game. Not a lot of us, as you can see that. You know, you just, obviously you got here for a reason. You know how to play the game. This is obviously the big league level. But how you carry yourself on the field, how you carry yourself off the field, in the clubhouse, in the hotel, just little things like that. I think it goes a long way. Having guys to call. We all have each other's number. If I have a question about something, you know, I'm just not sure of, I can call any one of these guys, and you know, they'll give me their best answer they can. So for me now, this is my 4th year in the big leagues, and I consider myself a vet yet, but I do have some guys that made their big league debut last year, Monte and Jazz, and just kind of guiding them and showing them the ropes, and you know, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. This is how you say this, is how you don't say this. You know, as a young guy, you kind of think you know it all, and you kind of think, you know, man, I got here for a reason. You know, I know how to carry myself. But in the big leagues, as all of us know, you know, it's just a different animal. It's a different game. A lot more lights, a lot more cameras, a lot more eyes on you. So you need help dealing with that, and you got to move the ego out the way and ask some of these guys. You know, I had Curtis too, my 2nd year. You know, great mentor. I have JP. He calls me, I think, or texts me once, twice a week, just to check on me, see how I'm doing. I know if I have a question about anything, about life, and it doesn't have to be about baseball. You know, I could call him and ask him anything. And same thing with the young guys on our team and the younger guys. They know they can call me if they have a question, if they have a problem, if they don't know how to deal with something. You know, I'm a phone call away, and I'll give you the best answer I can. If I can't give you the answer, I'll call one of these guys and see if I can get it. So a mentor in the game is very, very important, man. We always think that we could do it on our own, but you know, getting to this level, like I said, it's a lot of scrutiny on you, and having somebody, you know, like Jay, like Cam, like Tommy Pham, that have been through it and and done very well for themselves. You would be a fool not to pick their brain and not to be a sponge to whatever they have to offer. So that's my intake.
Yeah, Cameron, as soon as I mentioned the word mentor, you lit up, man. What are your thoughts on that as well?
I mean, I was lucky. You know, I had my first year in the big leagues. I had Gary Sheffield. I had Marcus Timms. I had Curtis Granderson. I had Craig Monroe. I had Dimitri Young. I mean, it was like all these brothers on one squad to literally tell me how I need to move. I mean, really how you need to move as a young brother in the game. You know, when you get drafted, you know, I said this before, Mickey Brantley told me this, you know, you get drafted, you got 3 strikes. If you're black, they take one away just because, you know, like, it was like, I mean, a real honest conversation. And I was looking at him like, what? Like, but it's real. And I was lucky to have him tell me that than meet all of these guys who was like, nah, be quiet. You're talking too much. Just go to the cage, put your head down, get your work in. It was like, okay. They was telling me this for a reason, and I appreciate it so much. And I wouldn't have lasted as long as I have if it wasn't for them teaching me how to maneuver in this game around, you know, around a lot of people who don't look like you. You know what I'm saying? And your leash is a little bit shorter. So I got lit up because I was so thankful for the dudes that I had, you know, so I couldn't wait to have a guy like Lewis. And even now, me being older than Jay Hay's like Jay Hay's like the old soul, like Jay Hay, you know, he'll grab my leash and pull me in like, man, come on, chill, bro. You know, you always got to have those dudes, you know, so I'm not just, you know, always giving advice. I'm always reaching out, you know, Jay Hay, you know, Edwin, CC, you know, for anything, you know, and that's to be, you know, Adam Jones was huge. You know, he told me, you see a brother, you go grab him. I don't care if you don't know him. Man, what's up? Hey, oh, he like, oh, hola, come on. Oh, my bad, bro. You know what I'm saying? But just in case, you know, and that's what it's about, you know. And to add to that, I'm happy to say, you know, with the alliance, we've created a mentoring group to make it even easier to have access to a Lewis, Brinson now, and a Monte Harris, and then Jason Heyward, and now we're making it easy to get those questions answered that these young guys are going to have coming into the game, and even if you don't got any questions, we're going to tell you what to expect, so it's a beautiful thing, man. And like Jay Hay said, man, this is a conversation that's been going on. This ain't something that I came up with. This is just us, the time almost being right. Like Jay Hay said, it's about time that we're able to have these conversations and not have to be afraid of, what anybody thinks about it, not have to be afraid if we're going to be able to, have occupation and we'll take care of our families because we're trying to, teach the next generation how to move accordingly. So I'm thankful, man, for the guys before me. I'm thankful for the guys like Jay Hayes, my peers, that I can continue to, T Pham bounce ideas, off of and help guys like Lewis, coming up, because these guys are going to be the future. These guys are going to be, the glue that keep these kids coming into the game and wanted to be, Major League Baseball players.
Yeah, I think if there's kind of a theme here, I think there's a lot of thankfulness, a lot of humility, and understanding. And I think that's what Martin Luther King Jr. Day is all about, right? That's got to be one of the big aspects of it. And I'm just going to leave it open to any final thoughts. Jay, I'll start with you. If you have any final closing thoughts and kind of go down the line.
I'll just say I appreciate everybody right here, man. Like, taking the time, sitting down, having this conversation, letting people hear us. I think that's super cool because, it's one thing for us to say we're out here in our communities and want to push for equality, want to do this for pro African American, but just we're people, we're human beings. We got families. We're not going to just shut up and dribble. And again, it's not just about Black people, but in general, we want the earth to be a better place. We want our communities to be great. And again, we didn't choose to be Black. We are. We want our youth to be a part of this movement. We want them to see what this looks like when we get together and sit down and have conversations. So to have that in our game right now and to be able to have that going forward is huge. So much love to y'all, and it's good to see everybody.
Lewis, I'll toss it over to you. Any final thoughts?
Jay Hay said, man, the conversation is huge. Having these calls, these Zoom calls with all this COVID going on, man, I wish we could be in person and just chop it up, have a drink or something to eat. But just having these conversations, I think, is very, very important. Moving the player alliance along. Like Cam said, man, I can't wait to, see what's in store in the coming months when the season starts. But man, these conversations that we're having, conversations that I'm having with my white teammates, with my Spanish teammates, they're asking me questions like, man, is it really like that for you guys? And, it's facts, it really is like that. But them having questions for me and me just having a conversation back and forth with them. I think that's extremely important. That needs to continue. And all the work that we're doing in the community, man, it's just, like I said, I'm honored to be a part of this. I'm honored to be a part of this call, this conversation right here. And man, I'm looking forward to a good 2020, and it's good to see you guys, man. Or 2021, sorry. My bad.
Yeah, we done with the last one. T Pham, what you got for me?
Oh man, just thankful, like everyone's saying, to be a part of something, and to be able to make a positive impact in someone's life, to be able to grow the game, and bring awareness to all these touchy subjects. I'm grateful though.
And last but not least, Cam, you got any final words?
Yeah, man. I like T Pham said, he said something at the very beginning, I got goosebumps thinking about it, just seeing a smile on, on people's faces, being able to provide a smile for people. That lets you're doing what's right. You can give, monetary things and, money is a lot, but, time, effort, love, energy, man, it goes so far, so like T Pham said, I think everybody here is starting to realize their mission. I think we all love playing the game of baseball. We're all very grateful, like you said, X. And I think we're all starting to realize that our mission is to use this platform to make, to not only make, or let's say leave this world a better place than it was when we came into it. So, you know, I applaud everybody on this call. X, I applaud you for having us on to have this conversation, this discussion, so that we can continue to use our voices and continue to use our platform. You know, every time I do one of these calls, I got a little anxiety, like, man, I don't know how they're gonna feel about this one, but we're gonna do it, you know. So it's cool, and I love that. You know, this just means that the needle is starting to move, that times are changing, and that's what it's all about. You know, being able to, you know, openly, you know, say what's on our mind and say what's on our hearts, and do what we feel. And usually we all trying to do the right thing. So, you know, I appreciate all you guys.
Man, well, I appreciate all you guys. You guys have been amazing. Again, Jay, Hay, Lewis, T Pham, Cameron, you guys have been amazing this whole time. All of you guys, I look up to you guys, and continued blessings in the rest of your career. Keep going out and doing your thing. Keep balling out. You guys are making a lot of people happy and proud. And just to close this thing off, thank you for everybody listening to the MLB Network Radio Roundtable, Baseball in Black America. You can hear this discussion anytime with SiriusXM app. And that's a wrap, fellas. Thank you.
All right, X.
Hey,
do your thing, X. I see you, baby boy.
That's right. Keep going, bro.
See you, X.
Keep going, man. See
All
you,
right, fellas.
Get healthy, boy. Get healthy, T Pham.
Hey, y'all get back. Y'all get back to the cage. Get back to the cage.
That's right.
Yeah, let T Pham go. I know he about to get it in, boy. Lou, how are you, Pham?
All right.
All right, fellas.